Welcome to another episode of TUF Coffee Shop Talk. I'm your host, Rhonda Lavoie. This week, we're talking about something that can easily derail even the most driven amongst us. Shiny object syndrome and dull distractions. How to avoid the trap. If you've ever found yourself chasing the next big idea or feeling overwhelmed by the everyday to-dos, this episode's for you. Here on TUF Coffee Shop Talk, I have the pleasure of connecting with the amazing women of the TUF Collaborative each week to discuss a wide range of topics. And I'm thrilled you're joining me as I share those conversations with you. We explore everything from practical business building strategies to insightful personal development ideas. My hope is that no matter your path, whether you're a fellow entrepreneur, working with a corporation, a busy parent, enjoying retirement, or navigating what's next, you'll find something valuable here. So let's get started. Let's get into this week's conversation. Have you ever been laser focused on a project, maybe launching a new service or finally getting your website updated, when suddenly you see a social media trend taking off that promises to get you tons of visibility? Or maybe you get an email about a must-attend webinar that promises to double your income overnight. That feeling of, ooh, maybe I should be doing that instead, that, my friends, can be a taste of what we call shiny object syndrome. In the world of entrepreneurship, especially us as women, often juggling multiple roles, shiny object syndrome is that tendency to get distracted by new, seemingly exciting opportunities. It could be a new marketing strategy, a different business model, a piece of technology, or even just a compelling idea that pops up. While exploring new avenues can be important for growth, the syndrome often leads us to jumping from one thing to another without fully implementing or seeing results from the previous one. It's like being drawn to the sparkle of something new, even if what we're currently working on is solid and moving us forward. It's something we can all fall for. Take my own experience, for example. There was a time I decided to become a notary simply because the opportunity was there. I had someone say, oh, it would be nice if we could have a notary. I looked up how to do it and I went and did it. I didn't need to be a notary. It wasn't adding value to my business, but it's a classic shiny object that didn't really align with my core business goals. Or more recently, I spent 4 days setting up Lofty, which was formerly Chime, convinced it would be a game changer, only to realize it wasn't any better than the system I already had in place. That's the pull of the shiny object. It can lead us down paths that don't necessarily serve our objectives. Now, while these shiny new things can definitely pull us off course, there's another type of distraction that can be just as harmful to our focus: the dull ones. These aren't the exciting, sparkly opportunities, but rather the everyday tasks and obligations that, while sometimes necessary, can easily balloon and steal our time and energy away from our bigger goals. Let's look at some examples. Saying yes to every volunteer opportunity, committee, or networking event. You might feel like you're being helpful or making connections, but if these commitments constantly pull you away from the core tasks that drive your business forward, they might become a significant drain on your time and energy. And if they don't truly align with your goals, then they are simply a distraction and filling up your schedule and taking away from your time. This is one that I struggle with a little bit. It's that endless scroll of constantly checking your emails and social media feeds. We tell ourselves we're staying informed or engaging with our audience, but how often does that quick check turn into a 20-minute rabbit hole? These small pockets of lost time throughout the day can really add up, pulling us away from, the focused work that we hope to achieve. Or how about that feeling of needing to constantly support everyone else or everyone else's projects before you focus on your own? As women, we're often wired to nurture and help, but in business, consistently putting others first can lead to our goals being put on the back burner. It's about finding that balance and recognizing that prioritizing your own business is not selfish, it's essential. And of course, the urge to achieve absolute perfection on tasks that don't significantly impact the outcome. We can spend hours tweaking a font or agonizing over the exact wording of something. And in the grand scheme of things, won't make or break this success. This perfectionism, while well-intentioned, can be a major time waster, preventing us from moving on to more impactful activities. And I've said it multiple times on the podcast that perfection just isn't possible and especially not necessary. Get to that 51% and move on. Stop wasting your time. So, how do we start recognizing when we're being pulled by a shiny object or bogged down by a dull distraction? It often comes down to pausing and asking ourselves a few questions. When something new and exciting pops up, whether it's a new marketing tactic or a business opportunity, take a moment to consider, does this truly align with my vision for my business and my life? What is the potential return on my time and energy investment? Am I being drawn to this because it's genuinely going to solve a problem I have, or is it simply because it looks interesting? Similarly, when you find yourself busy with tasks that don't seem to be moving the needle forward, ask, is this task essential, or is it something that could be delegated, automated, or even eliminated? Is this the most impactful way I could be spending my time right now to reach my goals? Am I doing it out of habit or obligation rather than strategic necessity? These questions can help us become more conscious of where our attention and energy are going. And this brings us to a really practical tool I use, which is filtering opportunities and tasks through my goals. You see, that's how I personally try to avoid the trap of both shiny object syndrome and dull distractions. I use my own goal-based filter. When a new idea or opportunity arises, the first question I ask myself is, will pursuing this help me achieve my immediate goal for this year? And if the answer is no, it's likely something I need to table for now. But before I table it, I also put it through the filter of my long-term goal. So if it doesn't contribute to that immediate goal, will it be something that will help me for my long-term goal? You see, I have a goal for this year, and that goal is more around transactions and income. And then I have a 5-year vision around where's my business going to go and what are the things that I need to do to get there, and what does that look like? So if it first doesn't achieve my immediate 1-year goal, will it be something that I need to contribute to my long-term vision? If the answer is no to both of those, then I toss the idea out the window ultimately. But if it is something that will contribute to the long-term goal, then I'll actually keep it and do one of two things. I will either document everything about it that the thought and the idea and all of those things, and I'll kind of put it on the shelf for a day or time when I have more resources to be able to put to it, so it won't be that distraction. Or I'll look to see if there are some tiny steps I can take to start right now that won't be disruptive, but will start moving the needle towards, achieving that long-term goal. Another common trap we encounter is the grass is greener idea. It's that tempting feeling that something new or different will be better than what we're doing currently. We might see a competitor's success and think their path is the magic bullet, or a new platform emerges and promises instant results. Think about it. In our world of entrepreneurship, this could look like seeing someone else launch a specific type of coaching program and suddenly feel like you need to pivot your entire business to do the same. Or as we're seeing locally, the arrival of the new brokerage with a similar model to XP can make some agents believe that a switch will automatically bring them that fresh start they desire. How many times have you seen agents jump from one brokerage to another, often multiple times throughout their careers? And I'm guilty of this too. I moved from brokerage to brokerage in the early part of my career as well. And you have this hope that this new move will finally be the key to their success. They might be drawn by promises of better leads, more support, or different culture. What's often missed in that greener grass scenario is it doesn't show us the full picture. We don't see the groundwork, the potential struggles, or the unique challenges that come with that other path. The refresh someone seeks by jumping to a new brokerage, that often comes from the intentional decision to change and implement new strategies, something they could absolutely do within their existing framework. Because let's be real, consistent effort and the willingness to do the work are the real golden tickets. No matter how shiny a new brokerage might feel, if an agent isn't committed to the foundational tasks, the external change alone won't magically transform their business. The real power lies in critically evaluating if that seemingly greener pasture truly aligns with your specific goals, values, and long-term vision. Are you being drawn by genuine opportunity or simply the allure of something different? Recognize this tendency can save us a lot of wasted time and energy chasing mirages, that illusion. So we've talked about identifying these distractions and filtering them through our goals, but one of the most powerful tools we have in our arsenal is the ability to set clear boundaries. This applies to both the exciting new opportunities and the demands on our time that come from various directions. One really effective approach is to identify your non-negotiables, those core activities that are crucial for moving your business forward consistently. Then you create boundaries to protect the time and energy needed for these. For example, I've made pre-scheduling my social media posts a non-negotiable, part of my monthly routine. By penciling them in a month in advance, it takes the daily guesswork out of what to post the day. It ensures that I'm consistently present on social media, which is important for my business, but it doesn't become a daily decision that can get lost in the shuffle. This pre-scheduling becomes a boundary that protects my time each day, allowing me to focus on the priorities, knowing my social media is handled. Now, knowing how easily we can get pulled off course by both the allure of the shiny object syndrome and the drain of dull distractions, understanding how these non-negotiables act as our guide is key. When a tempting shiny object appears, ask yourself, does this support or detract from the time and energy I've dedicated to my non-negotiables? Does this support or detract from the time and energy I've dedicated to my non-negotiables? If it pulls you away from those crucial activities, it's a strong sign to proceed with caution. Similarly, establishing boundaries around your non-negotiables helps you resist the pull of the dull distractions. By having protected time for your most important tasks, you're less likely to let those less impactful everyday demands encroach on your focused work. Think about what your own non-negotiables might be. What are those activities, if you do them consistently, make the biggest impact on your business? It could be dedicated time for prospecting, following up with leads, creating content, or even strategic planning. Once you've identified these, the next step is to create boundaries around them. Now, we've talked a lot about avoiding distractions, but not every new idea is something to be completely dismissed. Sometimes a shiny object might actually have the potential to align with our long-term goals. The key is not to dive in headfirst and abandon our current priorities. Instead, we can explore these potentially beneficial opportunities by taking tiny steps. Think of it as dipping your toe in the water before jumping in the deep end. If a new marketing strategy intrigues you, instead of overhauling your entire approach, maybe you could dedicate a small amount of time each week to learn about it or testing one small element. If a new piece of software seems promising for streamlining our process, perhaps you could sign up for a free trial and dedicate just 15 minutes a day to exploring its features. That's a great expansion on the idea. Another approach is to table the idea. Acknowledge the appeal of the idea, but decide to set it aside for a specific period. Then when you revisit it later, if the idea still holds merit and excites you, then take that first tiny step. Maybe you do some research or free trial or, a conversation about it. But the waiting period can often reveal whether the shiny object was genuinely an opportunity or just a distraction. And this idea isn't just about business either. Think about it in other areas of life. Have you ever gone to the pet store or the shelter and then instantly been smitten with a tiny guinea pig or a playful kitten or a puppy? That immediate, I need this feeling can be so strong. But just like a shiny business idea, it's wise to take a breath, step away from the impulse, go home, sleep on it, and consider the long-term commitment before making a decision. That pause removes the immediate emotional pull and allows you to make a more thoughtful choice. The same principle applies to those tempting new business ventures. Don't feel pressured to jump in right away. Give yourself the space to evaluate if it truly aligns with your goals before committing your precious time and resources. Finally, one crucial aspect of avoiding the shiny object trap is developing a healthy dose of skepticism when you encounter opportunities that promise unbelievably quick or easy results. Think about those online courses that guarantee you'll double your income in 30 days with minimal effort, or the advertising opportunities that promise a massive return on investment with very little work on your part. These kinds of offers can be incredibly tempting, especially when you're feeling the pressure to grow quickly. However, a good rule of thumb is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Legitimate business growth usually requires consistent effort, strategic planning, and a realistic time frame. Be wary of anything that suggests instant success without the need for hard work. For example, if a seller is heavily pressuring you to make a decision today only, that should definitely raise a red flag. I don't know how many times I've had marketing people contact me wanting me to pay for advertising on their platform and be like, well, this is only available today. And, this is a great deal. And you just have to give me an answer right now. And they just won't take no for an answer or, give you that time that you need. A legitimate opportunity will usually allow you the time you need to consider it properly. So if they won't allow you to, think on it and, call you back in a couple of days, it's a clear sign that something isn't right. And simply say, no, thank you is the best response. Another one is that, well, you only need to close one deal to get the return on your investment. Yes, that's true. However, you're kind of oversimplifying, what that whole process looks like and the time and effort that it might take, to close any of those deals. It's a tempting hook, but the reality is it's rarely that straightforward. These are just a couple of the red flags that I've encountered and now don't get sucked into. I'm not going to lie. I certainly did try some of these opportunities in my career, but I can tell you from experience that, what if you don't get one deal? Now you're out the amount of one deal, or what if signing up for it, 3 days later, you have the regret of, well, I'm not going to have that money every month, or I don't want to spend that money there. I was, wanting to put that money somewhere else in my advertising platforms. So just take it from me that if it sounds too good to be true, really good chance it actually is. And, it's not all about the easy money. That just isn't a legitimate thing within my real estate career anyway. You need to put in the effort and have all of the things put in place to create the successes for yourself. So as we wrap up our conversation today, remember that navigating the world of entrepreneurship means constantly being present with new opportunities and managing the demands of the day-to-day. It's completely normal to feel the pull of something shiny or the weight of those never-ending tasks. The key is to be mindful. Take a moment to pause. Reflect on your goals. Ask those important questions we discussed. Don't be afraid to set boundaries to protect your focus. And remember that exploring new paths can be done thoughtfully, one tiny step at a time. And always approach those too good to be true offers with a healthy dose of skepticism. You've got this. You have the vision, the drive, the ability to stay on your path. By being aware of these potential traps, you're already one step ahead. Keep your eyes on your own journey, trust your instincts, and celebrate the progress you make every day. Thank you for joining me on TUF Coffee Shop Talk. I'm Rhonda Lavoie, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Now, go out there and stay focused on what truly matters, avoiding those shiny distractions.